Born for the maze. You don't exactly have the most glamorous origin story. Your mom was a queen. Your dad was, well, technically a bull, which is not something you bring up at family reunions. The gods thought it'd be hilarious to curse someone, and boom, you happened. Half man, half bull, full-time punishment for divine drama. From day one, you weren't destined for playdates and finger painting. Nope. You got tossed into a labyrinth the size of a city, designed by a genius named Daedalus, whose hobbies included making architecture that ruins lives. So, there you are. A baby Minotaur in a pitch black maze, moo crying in the dark like the world's weirdest cow human hybrid. They fed you milk at first, but milk turns to meat real quick when your metabolism is part bovine, part bodybuilder. People whisper about the sacrifices sent into the maze, but really it's just free Uber Eats with no delivery fee. You grew up on a steady diet of confused criminals, unlucky villagers, and the occasional soldier who thought this job was going to be easy. Spoiler, it wasn't. By the time you hit adolescence, you were ripped. Imagine a linebacker crossed with a bull, dipped in steroids, and taught how to glower. Your horns grew into massive ivory scythes, your hooves could crack stone, and your roar carried through the labyrinth like surround sound with subwoofers. You didn't just live in the maze, you became part of it. You knew the airflow, the temperature shifts, the echoes. To outsiders, it was a prison. To you, it was basically your giant personal gaming arena. Humans called you a beast. They thought you were just a dumb animal with a bad temper. Wrong. You're sharp. You understand tactics. You use misdirection, sound, even patience as weapons. You know exactly when to charge out of the dark and when to let them trip over themselves in terror. Sometimes you toy with your prey, letting them catch glimpses of your glowing eyes before vanishing back into the shadows. You're not just killing them, you're running the world's scariest escape room, except no one ever escapes. But life as the Minotaur isn't all steak dinners and jump scares. Being trapped in a maze comes with problems. You get bored, you decorate with bones, scratch graffiti into walls with your horns, and invent imaginary friends just to pass the centuries. You start giving the rats names. Oh, hey, Gerald, how's the wife? You get philosophical. What does it mean to be half bull, half man? Who decided that was a good idea? Why didn't anyone ask you what you wanted to be? Spoiler, you would have picked dragon. Dragons get way better PR. Every few months, new contestants get tossed into your maze. They stumble around, whispering prayers, trying to retrace their steps with pebbles or chalk. You chuckle because chalk lines wash away when you bleed on them. Their fear is almost tasty on its own. Some last a day, a few last a week. All of them end up the same way, screaming under your horns, bones crunching, echo fading into silence. Another Tuesday for you. Still, you get the sense you're more than just a monster in a maze. You're a symbol, a test, a story with horns. And the humans on the outside, they love to tell your story, even while they fear it. You knew it was coming eventually, the so-called hero. Every monster gets one. Dragons have St. George. Gorgons have Perseus. And you get Theseus. He wasn't just some terrified peasant in a tunic. This guy came in prepared. He had muscles, he had confidence, and worst of all, he had brains. Not his brains. He got help from a princess named Ariadne, who handed him a ball of string like she was prepping him for a craft fair. That little spool was your doom. The fight was brutal. You lunged, horns aimed to skewer, hooves cracking the stone underfoot. He dodged fast as lightning, his sword flashing in the dark. You roared, you charged, you smashed walls just trying to clip him. Heroes usually panic when they see you. This one didn't. He fought like someone who knew he had plot armor. Eventually, his blade found its mark, and you dropped to the floor, blood pooling, your roar echoing for the last time, at least in that life. But here's the thing about myths. They don't let monsters stay dead. The humans tell and retell your story, painting you as the villain, the beast, the final boss of a labyrinth no one ever escapes. And every time they retell it, you're reborn. Sometimes you're in Crete, sometimes you're in a dungeon crawling RPG, sometimes you're in a video game where some unlucky player rage quits because you one-shotted their character. You don't just exist, you respawn. eternally in every culture that needs a monster in the maze. And with each new version, you change a little. In some, you're a tragic figure, cursed child who never asked for this life. In others, you're pure nightmare fuel, a hulking brute that tears men apart like bread rolls. Sometimes you're both. But no matter the version, you remain what you always were. The terror waiting in the dark, the thing people imagine when they dream of endless corridors and something hunting them. Being eternal has perks. You don't age. You don't die. Not really. You're an archetype now, just as much a part of humanity's imagination as the hero who killed you. Kids still doodle your horns in the margins of their notebooks. Scholars still write papers about you. Game designers still put you in levels labeled Labyrinth, because, let's face it, no maze is complete without a Minotaur. And deep down, you've made peace with it. You don't need sunlight, friends, or a retirement plan. You are the labyrinth. You are the trial. You're the boss fight waiting just beyond the corner. And every time some human thinks they're clever enough to find their way through, you'll be there, snorting steam, horns gleaming, eyes glowing like fire in the dark. Just another Tuesday in the life of a Minotaur. You stomp your hoof, crack your neck, and wait. Because sooner or later, someone always comes into the maze. And when they do, you'll be right there, grinning with those massive bull teeth, ready to remind them that the story never ends.